Hey guys, so welcome to another episode of the High Tickets Business Growth and Strategy Show. So I'm here with my guest today, Shannon Hernandez, and we just had a really awesome laugh right before we got started. But you got to stay till the end, and we'll let you know what we were what we were joking about. But with that being said, hey Shannon, so welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, you're welcome. And right before I was definitely checking out one of your videos on your Facebook page where you're showing around the view of New York and stuff like that. So tell us, New York seems not so busy at all. What's going on back there these days? Is it pretty? What's happening? Is the city like, but because of COVID-19, is it pretty calm?
Yeah, it's calm
Hmm.
and it's good because I'm not like a city person. So
Uh,
the energy feels really good. Like it's just this normal, like calm everywhere.
yeah,
Um, but of course, sending lots of love to everyone who's helping with COVID, all the health workers and everyone affected by it. But it's a very different energy right now for sure.
love it. Now tell me, what is it that you do, by the way?
So I am a joyful marketing strategist. And what that means is, in a nutshell, we have a mantra we live by. If it ain't joyful, we ain't doing that shit.
Mhm.
That's our mantra.
Uh-huh.
And I help coaches and consultants around the globe um, get in their zone of genius and market and sell from a place of joy. And so we are doing a lot of really cool things, and it's so fun to help people find that joyful place where they show up and can serve their people. And as you know, when you serve first, it's really about what it's about for signing our high ticket clients.
Yeah, awesome. And you call it joyful marketing. So how did you come across that? What inspired that?
Well, there's a brief story. So a few years back, this lady called me on the telephone for a consultation, and at the time, I was helping people write their books. And I have pivoted since then, thank God, because that was not joyful. It was not my zone of genius. But I was helping people write their books, and she called and she was sobbing, and she said to me, I am in a 1-year coaching program and we're at the end. And what's going to happen is in a few weeks, flying to California, going to be locked in a hotel room, literally locked in a hotel room. And I need to come out with a manuscript. And she was sobbing hysterically. And I said, well, what's going on here? She's like, I don't want to write a book. I'm not a writer. I signed up for this. I'm taking full responsibility. I knew it was coming, but she's basically like having anxiety over it. And I laid in bed that night and thought, one, I told her she should fire her coach because that's not coaching. That
Yeah.
is not like empowering people to be their best. But two, I told her she shouldn't write that damn book. Like if she
Hmm.
was not into writing a book, she didn't need to write a book. That was really the night that the quiz that I'm known for around the world, which is called the Content Personality Quiz, it was born that night. Because I was so upset for this lady. And I was like, how many more people are being told they have to do video, they have to write a book, they have to get on stage? And you know this, right? Like the coaching industry is just like saturated with people telling you what you have to do. And I was like, actually, what if I developed a quiz and people could find out what their marketing personality was right away within 3 minutes of how they naturally show up in the world? And we just did things in joy. And
Hmm.
so that's how the whole kind of movement came about.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I love that strategy as well too, because most individuals I found when they go to helping others, they typically come from a place of, well, here's what's worked for me, so it's going to work for you. And if it's not working for you, you got to just do it harder, or you're just not trying hard enough.
Yep.
Versus, I realized that the people who really succeed, kind of like yourself, who you do out there doing great things, is you come from more of a place of, okay, let's find out what your zone of genius is. Let's find out what your strengths are. Let's find out what you already naturally have, and let's lead off with that
Yeah.
versus trying to find the things that they're probably not your personality, not going to work for you, and all these different things, and trying to make them work. So I love that. Now, in essence, how long have you been doing this?
I have been doing this. Well, I've been a business owner for 7 years.
Hmm.
I made some pivots in between. So I used to be a marketing copywriter. And then I coach people on books, and now I actually just do joyful marketing strategy, and I teach people how to sell and market
Mm-hmm.
um, from their place of joy. And so I've really been in this zone for the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And my business has grown so fast by me getting in my joyful zone and proclaiming to other people, like, you don't have to do that stuff that's not lighting you up on the inside.
Yeah. So tell me, what is your joyful zone?
My joyful zone is video.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, this is kind of like, we also all have our own stories. I always identified as a writer. So on my content personality quiz, there's 5 content types that people will find themselves in:
Mm-hmm.
writing, video, audio, live in person, or visual. That's the creative and the graphic people, right? That's my dead last. Like, you're not going to catch me making any graphics in Canva.
Yeah.
Doing that. It is not joyful, and I do not have the design eye. But anyway, I was comfortable with writing. I had been praised my whole life as being a writer. I'm an author. I've written a book, but my writing wasn't selling. Even though it's good and people love it, my writing was not selling my stuff. So I took my own quiz and I took my own advice, and I pivoted to live in person and video, which blend very well together with Facebook Lives and Zooms and things of that nature. And since making that pivot and that shift, we've grown a $400,000 brand without any kind of Facebook ads whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my zone of genius. And that's what brings me joy in my marketing and selling, is either being on a stage or being on a virtual stage, which is my phone, or Zoom for
Mm-hmm.
like Facebook Lives and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. So you're more like a in the moment type of real life type person versus the one who, whether it's through writing, doing pre-recorded things or whatever, it's more live for you.
Yeah. And I don't even like do interviews if they're not video interviews,
Uh-huh.
because I don't like it. I don't like the audio. I don't like being able to see people. Like, I want to interact with people. So
Yeah.
I've used it as like a filter for everything that we do here.
Mm-hmm. That is so powerful, and video is so interesting. It's so great. I was actually on my group coaching call last night, and one of my clients I actually had to because we were having a conversation. Because for me, when you build a coaching and consultant business, number one, you got to figure out, okay, how are you going to help? Who are you going to help? How are you going to help them? And what does the delivery look like? Whether it's one-on-one coaching, group coaching, events, whatever it is, but you have to figure that out beforehand, I believe. And once you figure it out, then the next shift becomes, at least from my perspective, it's building some type of funnel to where you know, okay, this is how I take a prospect from stranger to paying client with me, and having that kind of figured out. And
Yep.
once that's figured out, then the third phase is exposure, which is, hey, now you got to get out there, be on the stage, and get your message out to the world. And no one can do it for you. Like, you can't pay anyone else to say, hey, go get my message out. Like, it's something you literally have to show up and do
Yep.
every single day. And I realize some individuals, they don't want to do that. So I guess, what advice would you have for someone who's not, who feels like, okay, the promotional part of putting themselves out there, what advice would you have for a person who struggles with that?
Yeah. Well, this is exactly what we teach and what we coach on, because it's real. It's a real thing. It's so different, as you know, and I'm sure you help all of your awesome clients with this too, is like, you have to be visible. But then they're like, well, I don't know how, it feels salesy. It feels slimy. I don't know how to do it. The number one thing that I teach my students in my program is story marketing. Because just like this, when we can tell a good story, and at the end, you can then invite people. That's our word for selling, invite. You can invite people to work with you to learn how to do X, Y, and Z, and it connects back to your story. It's like a seamless process, and it feels so good. It feels good for you who's listening to the video or from the stage or wherever. It feels good to me, because now we've taken the push, we've taken the convincing, we've taken the persuading, all of that. We've showed up, we've told a story, and we've made an offer. Okay, we've made an invitation. And so my advice for people always is, first, you got to want it. Your dreams have to be bigger than your fears.
Yeah.
And I think that, even as we're growing to a multi-million dollar brand, I have to still work on this mindset. My dreams have to be bigger than my fears of like, oh God, now I got to hire a sales team. What if they can't sell? Like all the
Yeah.
things that every level you get like a new little devil to deal with, right? Like
Hmm.
that's what happens. So is your dream bigger than your fears is really something that I'm going to be talking a lot about coming up. But I think it's so important for all of us, no matter what level we're at, to really ask ourselves that. And what are we willing to do? Consistent little baby steps, actions every single day to get where we're going. Because as you and I know, there are not overnight successes. Like it doesn't happen. There's no magic formula. There's no magic pill you can take. You have to take the little consistent steps every single day. And that's how you get a brand like you and I have.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And that is so powerful. And that's the conversation we had as well too, because I really believe that with the programs are good. Don't get me wrong, I love coaching programs and those different things, but I realize that's why, and I kind of thought about it for myself too. Why do people jump from program to program to program? And again, they all looking for the quick fixes, but then with a it's for me it's more like an avoidance thing, which is there is going to be some hard thing, which is something you don't want to do. There's something you got to do but you don't want to do, and you find
Yeah.
in all different ways. And some people they don't learn it until they go out of business and this really doesn't work for them. And some
Yeah.
people they get it, which is when like they've tried every single thing, look for the shortcut, look, and they can't find it. And now it's like, okay, now I'm open to what works. Just teach me what works because I got to figure this thing out now.
Mhm.
And then there's another segment of people who they just naturally come in knowing that, okay, I don't know what I don't know, and I have to be open to figuring out those things. And I find these individuals, they're always the best to kind of work with, because number one, they always seek out the best. They always work with the best, and they try to figure out, okay, how do I before I even get started, how do I get that expert mentorship, expert advice? So in your on your own journey as well too, what have you found in terms of causes your process, your clients to get the results that they typically get?
Yeah. So the very first thing is that we help them create a 90-day at a time, 90-day chunks marketing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a high level view of like everyone right now, it's Q2. So they're all working on May of Q2. And listen, this is for everyone listening. You cannot grow anything or get results if you don't know what you're measuring. Okay. Like it's just impossible. If you want to lose 10 pounds, you have to know what you're measuring. Are you measuring food? Are you measuring activity? Are you getting on the scale? Like, what are you measuring? Right? Because how are we ever going to know if we lost the 10 pounds?
Right.
And so we talk a lot about, okay, if your strategy is video, let's say, and you're going to go live 3 days a week, and we have a plan for what you're talking about, we have a plan for what you're selling, you've got to do that for a while so we have some data to work with and micro adjust from month to month within the strategy. And I think this is the thing that really gets my students results, the ones who come in and do it, right? Let's be
Mm-hmm.
real. Not everyone comes in and not everyone does it and they get scared and there's things that happen and we try and help them through it. But for the students who come in and they really lay out that 90-day strategy and they stick to it, may not have worked the first month, but at least we have some data and we can tweak for the next month. And then we have some data and we can tweak for the next month. And it's so important, right? Is that we have a plan, we're doing the plan, and we have a way to look at and adjust the plan.
Mm-hmm.
And that I think is what gets my students results is we're talking about those things all the time.
Mm-hmm. Love it. That's so exciting. So the question, because it seems like your background, just like you said, you started off as a copywriter, and then you got into book writing. So you've kind of developed quite a few skills over the years as far as things you've kind of mastered in a sense. So out of all the skills you've kind of mastered, which one would you say would you attribute to having the biggest impact on your level of success? I know there's a lot, but if you had to say
Yeah.
one, which would that be?
So the one is that I was a teacher for 15 years to 8th grade students.
Mm-hmm. Where
And
at?
I didn't appreciate this until a couple years ago, honestly. Like when I left teaching, I ran from teaching. I was like sick of the
Mm-hmm.
whole
Where
system.
were you teaching? Where were you teaching?
I was teaching in Harlem, New York City, 8th graders. Like it was if I didn't develop these kind of what I would call magnetic storytelling skills, like captivating people at the front of the room, I would have been dead meat in that classroom.
Yeah.
You know, they put 30 and 40 kids in there. They were bigger than I am, and I'm 5'10". And like, I had to like really learn almost how to be an actress of some sort, like to hold and capture people's attention. And I didn't realize how much this has helped me. But when I go live, it's captivating. We're running a workshop right now in my Facebook group. We had 77 people live with us last night. And they're all submitting their homework, and they're all doing the things that I told them to go do, right? And that skill alone, and with it, I've got masters in curriculum design, right? So I can design a program from start to finish in about 30 minutes. Like I can knock that shit out. It's easy. But I didn't appreciate any of that because I left teaching in such a negative place because I was so disenchanted with how it was happening and the testing and all the things. But 2 years ago, I came back and I said, my strength is a teacher. And I can break things down, and I can help people get win after win after win after win. And that's what we want as business owners. And I can help you develop your programming and your curriculum. But above all, I can tell a story and I can captivate an audience. And that's what needs to happen in people's marketing.
Okay. And telling stories are so powerful. I'm hearing the theme over and over again, but really, I believe the world is ran by storytellers. Whenever someone says, let me tell you a story, like you ask a question, I say, let me tell you a story, just know that this person most likely is a pretty influential person, because I find that if you just naturally talk in stories, whether you want to or not, like you will lead.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely just become a leader from that point. So I highly recommend anyone who's watching this as well. So if you haven't done any research into storytelling and stuff like that, you should definitely check that out. So in terms of your business wise, what do you do? How do you, because I know you have a team, it's not just you doing that. What's the process? Because I know most solopreneurs, individuals, coaches, consultants, they typically start off just themselves, having to do everything on their own. But with yourself, how did you get started with building your team? What was your progression?
Yeah, I love this question. And I believe that I hit 6 figures in the first 6 months. Because I said to myself when I became a business owner, I didn't know anything about it. I was a teacher. I didn't know how to sell. I didn't know any of the stuff like many of the people who come into coaching and consulting. We just got to figure it out, right? But what I knew is I knew I couldn't do it by myself. I knew that. I knew if you go to the beauty shop, they've got the rent, they've got the water, they've got the beauty chairs, they've got the people doing them, they've got the people coming and sell scissors, they've got the products. No business operates in silo, right? No successful business can. And so from the beginning, I hired a coach because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? And I hired a virtual assistant. And I didn't have any clients. I get sick of this excuse, if you want to be honest. Like, I didn't have any clients. I was using my savings account. I was using like my money as being a teacher. But those 2 people helped propel me into what my brand is now. We have 9 people. We are hiring for a sales team as we speak. I just got out of a meeting with my team about that. We've just started investing in Facebook ads because we have hit 400,000 and we realize it's plateauing a little. So I'm trying to figure out, well, I'm not doing it. I hired an expert. Like they're going to figure out the Facebook. I don't want to. That's going to make me crazy, right? But we have consistently added on to this team. And that has helped me be very profitable, right? A lot of people think, gosh, how could I do this if I hired all this team? And I'm very open with my numbers. It's one of the reasons people love me is because I talk about the numbers. I don't hide it. So we've got a $400,000 brand. I work 20 hours a week because I got a team, and we keep 65% of money and profit after everything is paid. That is unheard of. That is unheard of in business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you hire people that are their zone of genius, so you can do your zone of genius, you can grow and you can be profitable like that. And so I love that question because it's very different than how most people answer that they waited till they were at X amount to hire, a virtual assistant or a coach. And in my experience, it doesn't really work so well like that because you're
Mm-hmm.
always like trying to play catch up. Oh, if I sign one more client, I'll get a coach. But the reason that you can't actually sign one more client is because you don't know how to market. You don't know how to sell, right? So it's
Yeah.
like this endless cycle. Did that answer your question?
Oh, it did. It did. It makes perfect sense as well too, because that's exactly what you said is so true. Because I definitely believe that in business, and that's one thing I tell all of my clients as well too. Hey, revenue solves every single problem that you will face. And I typically tell my clients, hey, when you get into your business, like you have to focus on the things that if you're doing like high ticket sales or something, the things that generate strategy sessions, generate these consultations, and just closing them. And then everything else, and your product delivery, your service delivery, but everything else, you got to get a team as quickly as possible to whether it's posts on social media, whether it's responding to what do you call it, support emails and all these different things. Like you got to figure out how do you start building these individuals around you. And as you said, most people, the objection they typically use is, hey, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the resources to be able to do that. But I know for me, I remember when I hired my first VA, and I literally was like just trying to figure this thing out. I didn't really have a lot of money to spend. And I kind of got to the point where I paid them a few bucks. It wasn't as much, but I realized that I just knew that I needed a team. So I kind of figured out a way to create like a win-win. I knew I couldn't afford to pay their full fees, but we negotiated something to where I sold them on a vision of here's what I'm trying to do here, here's what I'm building, and here's how I see how if we do this, this is something more of a long-term thing. It's not like quick fix. I can't really say, I know you want this, but I can't really do this, but here's a vision. And I sold them on the vision. I saw how when they came in, like things started really restructured and things started picking up. And that's why I realized a team is important, because what that let me realize was that a lot of things, my zone of genius, again, it's in, again, the marketing, sales and marketing, spending as much time there as possible in product delivery, but everything else, all the mundane stuff, the team has to do it. And there's some people who just love it. They're not the
That's their zone of
entrepreneurs.
genius.
Yeah, they love it. And why not keep them out of being a part of a team and supporting us to help us get to that next vision? So I love what you shared there. Now, my next question now becomes in terms of what drives you as far as where you're headed right now, because as you said, you grow your business at 400,000. What drives you? What's that next level for you? What's your vision?
Well, I've been doing a lot of vision work lately.
Mm-hmm.
My vision, you people will hear me say, to build a multi-million-dollar brand.
Mm-hmm.
But what the why behind that is because we're on to something here with joy, right? Like when you're in joy, everything's great. The money is coming in, you're happy, they're happy, the clients are happy, everyone's happy. So I have a lot of work to do in the marketing world because I go against almost every grain that's taught. Almost every single one that you see the ads for the people, you see the guru marketing, you see if you just do this one thing, you're going to have like, it's not true. And so my bigger vision right now is to flip the world of marketing online on its head.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes courage because I get a lot of hate mail. Let's
Yeah,
be real.
yeah, and that's good. I believe that that's what it should be, because I feel like I think Steve Jobs, he said it when he said the people who are crazy enough to think that they could change the world are typically the ones who do. And I believe that when we go through and when we do something, when we have a vision and we share it and we're just so determined and obsessed with it, that's just what we're about, we attract those types of people who they're going to hate because for them, for whatever reason, they can't either see it within themselves, or they're not there yet. They haven't gone through the whole personal development, personal growth, and that type of stuff. So it's expected. So whenever someone tells me that they get hate, I'm like, you're doing some great things.
Yeah.
You're helping, you're serving, and you're out and open and sharing your message, and you really don't really care what people think. That's when I know, okay, success is just inevitable. for this person there. And I definitely see that within you as well too.
Thank you.
Yeah, love it. Uh,
Fun.
yeah. Okay, good. So what's I guess the final questions I have for you here, because I've been really thinking about in terms of what's your view on, because I know there's two realms to business, right? So there's the mindset side of it, and there's the actual tactical, the strategy, the techniques.
Mhm.
Which one do you find most people lack? When you just looking around the marketplace, which one do you find most people lack the most?
I despise this question.
Hmm.
I'm going to answer
Why is
it.
that? Why is that? Go ahead.
Um, this is like the question that's always posted in coaching groups. Like, if you had to
Hmm.
choose one, what would you choose? I'm like,
Hmm.
I have not been able to grow my business without both. That's the
Hmm.
truth, right? But I would say, based on what we've talked about here, my mindset was different in every decision I made, right? And the movement that we're leading, we're flipping marketing industry on its head with the mindset shifts. So if I have to answer it, I say mindset,
Hmm.
right? Because if you are a coach or a consultant and you're listening and you're struggling and you think that, I don't know, you need to do more, that's not the answer. The answer is not doing any more. Like, work smarter, not harder is a real thing. And how do you work smarter? You hire a coach, you hire a consultant that's going to help you, that you get, that you resonate with, and you do the damn work. You have to do the work, right? That's all mindset. And when that happens, you can get the tools and the tactics and the strategy, right? And one of the things that we talk about really in my Facebook group a lot is you see that all the time, all these people coming out with the next new thing: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook Live, Zoom to Facebook streaming. Those are tools and tactics, and unless you have a strategy, none of them are going to matter. None of them. You're going to hop from this is the new thing, to this is the new thing, to this is the new thing, and you don't even have like a roadmap, a 90-day roadmap for where you're going or what you're measuring. You're going to be out of business before you know it. And it's
Yeah.
sad. I'm trying to avoid that for coaches and consultants.
Yeah, yeah, that's so powerful. I know I was having a conversation with my friend, what's her name? Uh, um, Not Alicia. I talk to so many people, but
Yeah.
it gets to that point. But I was having a conversation, and one of the things they said was as far as the fundamentals, because just like you said, the techniques, the Facebook ads, the chatbots, the this or that, all these things, they keep changing. They're always changing, but there's a few core things that don't change, the few principles. So what are a few principles you believe that when it comes to growing a business, marketing, sales, creating success, do you have any of these principles that you believe they just won't change? And
Yes.
what
The
are those? What are a few
first,
of those for you?
yeah, I think the first is, at least in my teachings and my brand, is
Hmm.
we're going to find the things that are joyful and we're going to stay there.
Hmm.
Because nobody wants to be out of joy, right? Nobody wants to be out of joy for anything. It's not a fun place to be. So that would be the number one thing. Number two is we will talk strategy and a planning before I ever talk to you about tools and tactics. Because if you don't know where you're going, you're never going to get there. Ever. It's like taking a road trip. If you want to go from Chicago to LA and you don't have Google Maps, good luck with that. Like,
Right.
I mean, you might get there eventually, but you're going to hit
Long and
some dead
painful, right?
ends,
Yeah.
roadblocks. So that's like, and I'd say the third one, which we've talked about, is you have to be willing to show up and do the little consistent actions every single day and trust that it's going to work. It may
Hmm.
not work Monday through Thursday or Friday, but the next Monday, there's an email in your inbox about something that they saw, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's the hardest part for people, is they think they're going to get results like this and they have to see it to believe it. Whereas you actually need to believe it and then you'll see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the mindset, right? That's the mindset piece.
Yeah. I love that. That's something I learned from Wayne Dyer back in the day. I forgot what his book was called, but it was that quote. It's stuck in my mind. And now, whenever I approach my life and business, I always go from a place of, if I'm going to get these results, I got to get in here first. I cannot wait for the world to give it to me. I got to get in there first, and then it's going to be a reflection. So, with that, Shannon, how would someone contact you? What's the best way to reach out to you if someone wanted to learn more about what you're up to?
Yeah, they can, maybe they should take the quiz
Hmm.
and figure out if they're marketing and selling in their joyful zone.
Hmm.
And that's on my website, mshannonhernandez.com, front and center. I'm also in your Facebook group, so we can have conversation in the comments when the
Awesome.
video comes in. And I'm everywhere on Facebook, man, because I love it. So you can find me, and I'm happy to be a resource for people.
Hmm. Love it, love it. And the final question I'd like to ask here is, let me see. Well, I guess I did ask it a little bit earlier. I guess that's what happens with these unscripted interviews, right?
Yep, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's end it here. So, with that being said, what final thoughts do you have for anyone watching right now?
If you love the work you're doing and you want to have better results, whatever that means to you, more time off, more money, more clients, more impact, that can be a lot of things to different people. Working harder is not going to get you there. Working smarter, and there's lots of ways you can work smarter. One is making sure your marketing and selling actually work. All right. That's what's going to get you the results that you want without the burnout, without hitting a wall. We don't hustle, we don't grind, we don't even use those words over here. Like that's not joyful, right? So stay in your joy. That is like sustainable business practice right there.
Love it. Appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Shannon. It's been a pleasure having you stop by today. Really appreciate it and looking forward to keeping in touch. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. You're welcome. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Adios.
Yep.